I'm Alex Michaelson. Tonight, the issue is the L.A.U.S.D. teacher strike. Both sides are with us tonight, the union and the district, answering tough questions and talking about potential solutions. Plus,
Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, I extend to you this gavel.
She's back and ready to rumble. So how should Democrats use their power and not overreach? And
You want a beer?
No, I'll pass on the beer for now.
You sure? Okay, say hello.
Yes.
So, this is my sweetie.
I guess this is what happens when a politician tries to look natural on social media. How should they navigate this increasingly digital world? That and more with our panel, KABC Radio's John Phillips, journalist Jessica Yellin, and PR guru Howard Bragman. The issue is starts right now. Thanks so much for joining us. The teachers set to go on strike in less than a week in Los Angeles. We're talking to both sides. L.A.U.S.D. Vice President Nick Melvoin with us in a moment. But first, the Secretary of United Teachers Los Angeles, Arlene Inouye. Welcome to The Issue Is. Thanks so much for being here. We appreciate it. Okay, so what is the biggest sticking point at this point?
Well, the issue is that we put proposals on the table that deal with the critical learning conditions of our students. And that includes class size is a big one. We have classes of 45, 50 kids sometimes in our secondary schools and upwards to in the 30s in our elementary school. We have concerns about school staffing and the need for a full-time nurse in every school. Right now, 80% of our schools don't even have a full-time nurse. There's so many issues that we've had on the table, including charter school accountability.
And the district says that they're willing to pay for a lot of that they're willing to give you a pay raise, that they're willing to help fund a lot of those programs. But they don't have enough money to do everything that you want because Sacramento really drives the bus when it comes to school financing, and they can't afford it. What do you say? You know,
it's just not true. There are two issues that the district keeps bringing up that I want to counter right now. One is they say that they're going bankrupt and there's no money. Yet the district has an unprecedented, nearly $2 billion reserve, higher than it's ever been in the history of the district. And that money is needed right now for our classrooms.
But isn't that needed to deal with the recession? Isn't that needed for the terrible financial situation in Sacramento? And right now we're not going through that.
We're saying the students need it right now.
Okay, so let's talk about how do we solve this. So we had Mayor Eric Garcetti of Los Angeles on Good Day L.A., our morning show this week, and I talked to him about the teacher strike. He's offered to mediate this issue. Take a listen to what he had to say.
This is something that I am passionate about, something I care deeply about, and I will say to both sides, come here. This is a neutral space. Let's talk about what those issues are, but let's get a deal done.
So he's offering, City Hall says, I'll try to bring both sides together, work this out. What do you say to that?
Well, we've been meeting with Eric Garcetti, and we've been talking with him, and we feel that he plays an important role as the mayor of the city of Los Angeles. So, yes, we will have ongoing conversations with him.
You know, the big question, though, is what about the kids? The L.A. Times, the front page of the L.A. Times shows off where do the kids go? This question about 600,000 students without their teachers on Thursday. We talked to some parents about this. Argina Silva went out, and here's some of what they had to say.
If the strike goes, what are the kids supposed to be doing? Where are they supposed to be going?
I want my kids to have the best education they can, and the teachers are pretty much their second parents to our kids.
It's frustrating because I don't think anyone is truly trying to solve the problem.
So what do you say to that? What is your message to parents on Thursday if these teachers walk out? Do they send their kids to school? Do they not?
We're saying that it is a parent choice, that they have to decide what to do during the strike in relation to bringing their kids to school, joining us on the picket line, or whether to keep their kids at home. We do understand this is a sacrifice. We do understand this is an inconvenience and disruption for many that's going to be very great. But at the same time, we believe that this is what is needed to really change public education and save public education in Los Angeles. We're the only side who has been bringing the proposals to the table that will help our students, because this is all about our kids.
Well, we hope, I guess that changes on Monday and there can be some coming together.
We hope so.
And we hope that there's a little coming together here. We want to thank you for coming in. I know you guys didn't want to do a joint appearance, but we do have Nick Melvoin, the L.A.U.S.D school. So at least we can have a shaking of the hand, right? A handshake as he walks in.
Nice to see you.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for coming on The Issue Is and sharing your views. We appreciate that as well. See, look at this harmony happening here. This, when there is a deal, we'll point to this moment as
we tried to solve it in the elevator.
That it happened. And Nick Melvoin, welcome to The Issue Is. So let's talk about your perspective. You just heard that. Your immediate response.
I actually, I think a lot of what the teachers are asking for is valid. My career started 10 years ago as an LA Unified teacher. My class was too large. I had over 30 kids in the middle school English class. But here's the wrinkle. Out of the top 10 largest districts in the state, we're the second lowest in average class size. Class sizes are too big, and yet we're the second lowest. This is a state issue, and I know you just mentioned this. 90% of our funding comes from Sacramento. The education code that's about this thick is written by the state legislator. Charter schools, which we heard Arlene mention, is actually governed. The charter school law is a state law. The co-location law that says how schools must share space is a state issue. So our hope is that we can come together around those shared values of compensating teachers. We've offered a 6% raise, plus our lifetime health benefits, lowering class size nurses, teachers. We just can't spend what we don't have. And so we've encouraged the union to join us in Sacramento. This is a Democratic supermajority. Some of the largest contributors are teachers' unions. Let's work together and grow the pie for our kids.
So what's the pitch then? I mean, how do we get this done? How do we fix this on Monday or Tuesday so we don't have this strike on Thursday?
I remain hopeful that the union leadership has been talking about a strike for about 3 years. I kind of take a little issue with the characterization. We've actually put a lot of proposals on the table. When we went to impasse, it was a 2% raise for teachers. It's now tripled. There's retroactive pay. We're looking for a willing partner to say, in a room together, let's figure out how to do this, and then grow the pie and go to Sacramento. So I'm hopeful on Monday that this can be the start of kind of an around-the-clock mediation to avoid a strike, keep schools open, support our teachers, and then, the strike should be like it has been in every other state with the teacher strike, in the state capitol, because that's where the money is, and we look forward to that.
So let's talk about if there isn't a deal by Thursday, and then there's this strike that the mayor's saying is inevitable. What happens to all of these kids? Because parents are wondering, do I send my kid to school? Am I crossing the picket line if I do? I can't afford daycare possibly, so I got to send them to school. Are they going to get education there? What does it look like?
And that's, of course, the biggest issue, and I think the ones that are keeping us up at night. 84% of our kids are living in poverty, nearly 17,000 homeless students. Many parents don't have the option to keep their kids home. I know that we've referred to it as a choice. It's not a choice for some parents. For the 70,000 students with special needs who rely on us for services. We have been working on this. They've been talking about a strike for years. The district has been planning for this contingency. Schools will be open. We have settled contracts with our principals, our assistant principals, our bus drivers, our special ed aides, our school police. Is this going to be a typical day? Of course not. Why? Because the most important factor in a child's education is the teacher. And that's why it's important that we resolve this and get teachers back to their schools. But we will be working with parent volunteers, with substitutes, because we have both a legal responsibility and really a moral obligation to keep kids safe in school.
All right, Nick Melvoin, thank you so much for sharing your views. We appreciate you coming in.
Always
and we
a pleasure.
Thank Arlene as well. And from the teacher strike to the government shutdown, as Nick just mentioned, a lot to get into with our panel. John Phillips, Jessica Yellin, Howard Bragman. They're about to get up off that thing and come over here and share their views. We come back.
Our Congress will be refreshed and our democracy will be strengthened.
Guess who's back? Nancy Pelosi is Speaker of the House once again. She's the first person to reclaim the gavel since Sam Rayburn did that back in 1955. So what should she do with that power? Let's talk about that and more with our panel this week. It's a great one. John Phillips co-hosts a radio show with Jillian Barbier on KABC Radio. And starting Monday, they got a new time slot.
That's right.
Mornings, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Congratulations. When he's not behind the mic, John is out in the community. Fun fact, John credits his interest in politics to an early fascination with Boss Hogg from the Dukes of Hazzard.
Ooh, good taste.
Jessica Yellin is one of the most experienced political journalists in the country. She was chief White House correspondent for CNN, did the same for ABC News, and traveled the country covering hotly contested races, both 2008, 2012 presidential election years. Her latest project is called News Not Noise. It's a new media venture based on her Instagram at Jessica Yellin, which aims to separate fact from opinion, and it deals with the most important topics of the day. Clearly a worthy and interesting idea.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Howard Bragman, best known as a public relations magician. He's the go-to guy. He's also a writer, lecturer who's actively involved in Jewish welfare efforts, gay and lesbian civil rights, and First Amendment causes. His company is called LaBrea.Media. Welcome to you all. Good to have you here. Okay, so now let's talk about this government shutdown. We just talked about the L.A.U.S.D, which seems to be a mess. Here in Washington, they can't seem to agree either. Both sides seem to really be dug in. Jessica, let's start with you. You've got Nancy Pelosi saying that building a wall is immoral. You got President Trump saying, I'm not going to do anything without a wall. Where do we go?
Well, first of all, Donald Trump has met his match in Nancy Pelosi. This is finally somebody who's not going to be bullied by him, because this woman cannot be called a loser. She comes back from the ashes every time, and she has been attacked for everything he can think of, and she's Teflon to it. So she has just been elected to be a check on Donald Trump, so they're just simply not going to cave. This is just an endurance match to see who can wait it out the longest, and my prediction is the Democrats will.
Why?
Because secretly, behind the scenes, Republicans in the Senate also don't want the wall. And they are kind of psyched that Pelosi is taking the heat in the front so that they can see Donald Trump slightly weakened, put in a place where they can negotiate more effectively.
And John, as a member of the conservative movement, do you agree with that?
Well, I think this could go on for a long time. First of all, it's a partial shutdown, so it doesn't affect that many people. And if it affects you, you shouldn't be going on your vacation to Mount Rushmore anyway. Las Vegas is much, much better. For the Democrats, they have a new caucus that is more ideologically to the left. They're talking about impeaching the mother effer. They've talked about getting rid of the Electoral College. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez wants to raise the tax rate to 70%. So they're not going to give in on the wall very soon. Donald Trump, if he wants to get reelected, the wall has to go up. If the wall doesn't go up, there is no reelection for Donald Trump.
Well, and I asked Congressman Adam Schiff on Good Day LA about that very point, about sort of why not just give him the wall, and here's what he had to say.
If you give in to that, then we can expect every year the president is going to shut down the government unless he gets something that he doesn't have the votes for. That's simply no way to run a country.
Howard, how do you think the Democrats should play this?
Well, you act as if the Democrats are unified and they can play it a particular way. I mean, Speaker Pelosi is trying to herd cats. That's number one. I think process is really important. To ideologically come out and go, we're going to impeach the MF, I think is the wrong way to do it. I think you do process. I think you stand your ground. The president already said, I own this shutdown. The markets aren't liking. And, you know, the other thing besides not getting a wall built, it's not going to get him reelected, is if the economy's not good. He's not going to get reelected.
And just let's bring up that impeach the MF thing, because since we're both referencing it, Rashida Tlaib, who's a new congresswoman, first Palestinian, she said this.
Bullies don't win. And I said, baby, they don't, because we're going to go in there, we're going to impeach the
Nancy Pelosi does not like hearing that.
No, and you know, there are outliers in every party. They can do what they want. The leadership is not going to bring an impeachment measure, at least certainly not before Mueller files a report. So that's not going anywhere right now.
In terms of the Democrats' sort of way forward now that they have control, what do they do with this power?
Well, there's interesting calculus. The calculus is impeachment good? Are investigations good? Or is it good to watch this man kind of struggle, which he's doing right now? And, you know, I always have this theory that you don't need to shove a garden hose down your opponent's mouth when they're already drowning. And I think that's what's happening. I think it's kind of fun to watch it. I think they get in, they get organized, they do their process. Let's look at his tax returns. Let's get him upset about these things and let it unfold in a rational manner. Because the question is, Would you rather get him out of office before 2020 and have Pence in there, who's smart enough to do real damage to the leftist agenda? Or would you rather have a struggling Trump in there? And a struggling Trump may be an easier candidate for the Democrats to beat.
And it's an interesting question. Well, let's let you know that we've got our podcast. If you want to hear any of our past episodes, subscribe. The Issue Is. Search wherever you download your podcasts. Up next, we're talking about the digital reality of politics. Stay with us.
You want a beer?
No, I'll pass on the beer for now.
You sure? Come over and say hello.
Yes.
So, this is my sweetie.
Politicians are just like us, or at least that's what they want us to think. So social media, streaming video has become such a dominant part of our culture. Politicians are now dealing with it with varying levels of success. Let's discuss that and more with our panel. John Phillips, Jessica Yellin, Howard Bragman. Howard, this is really your wheelhouse, the PR aspect of it. What do you make of that Elizabeth Warren moment? And what do you make of this sort of, how do you deal with social media as a politician these days?
Social media is here to stay. It's unfiltered. You can get your message out. But that's kind of an example of the damage you can do. The number one issue in social media is authenticity. She didn't even have a glass of beer. She was swigging out of the bottle. It's like, really?
The flask wasn't available.
I feel like Kevin Spacey was in Boston helping her produce that video after he produced his, okay? It was like, who told her? She's the type of politician who should have a little dignity and act like a politician. It rang so false on every level.
She's also a very substantive person. Whatever you think of her politics, she's substantive, and she should play into that. Her social media persona should be, I'm terrible at this. I don't know how to do this. Exactly. I'm a grandma. What I'm good at is policy and blah, blah, blah. It's a complete misunderstanding of the medium, and it's one of the ways where age is really showing in this race. And I wonder if some of the older candidates will be able to deploy social media as effectively as the younger ones.
This video is my favorite new video. I keep hitting the play button like it's a morphine drip. I love it. But this is what happens when you listen to consultants. When consultants come in and tell you to be someone that you aren't. We've seen that happen locally here with Mayor Eric Garcetti, who feels the need to swear every time he's in front of an open microphone, like he's Andrew Dice Clay. And we know that's not legit. We know that's not who he is. He's a bookworm. He's not, a guy who's working as a dirty club comic, but he thinks that'll work for him.
Do you
and
really
so that's
think
how he's
someone
acting.
suggested Elizabeth Warren do this?
Yes.
Oh, that person.
Don't you think so? I think somebody suggested.
No, nobody could have suggested that. Well, it's so terrible.
But,
100%.
100%. Yes. Wasn't there a conversation that Beto O'Rourke, look at how great he's doing with streaming video, and you got to show that you're authentic and show that you're.
But it's the ultimate cliche. Act like you can have a beer with the person. Who would actually implement that? I'm shocked.
Well, who told Kevin Spacey it was a good idea to shoot that video?
Whole different category of awful.
All right.
Somebody who'd had a lot of beers.
Yeah. All right. Well, coming up, we're going to be talking about California politics a bit. But before we do that, I want to, since we have you, John, a moment to talk about your partner on the air, Jillian Barberie, who so many people here at Fox 11 love, so many people in our audience love. We know she's battling breast cancer. How's she doing?
She is a fighter. She was diagnosed with cancer late last year, and she is going to be tackling that cancer with chemotherapy that's going to start next week. We're, of course, moving to the morning show. She's going to try to work through the chemotherapy by doing it on Fridays. And she's a fighter. She is someone that the audience has known as a fighter. She doesn't back down when she faces something like this. And the love and the support that she's received from this city and this community is something that really means a lot to her.
Well, we love her, and we're thinking of her, and hope you'll pass along our best wishes on behalf of everybody here as well. Okay, so up next, let's talk about the new governor of California as of next week, Governor Gavin Newsom. What's their advice to him to actually be successful in the job? That's when we come back.
You stood for courage for a change. And now I can stand before you knowing I will have the incredible privilege of serving as your next governor.
The Governor Gavin Newsom era officially begins in Sacramento on Monday. We are going to be there for live coverage. Back with our panel, John Phillips, Jessica Yellin, Howard Bragman. John, let's begin with you. One piece of advice for Governor Gavin Newsom to be successful.
Just say no to the state legislature because they're going to try to spend us into the poorhouse.
Jessica.
I think he needs a distinctive policy move, whether it's a bold solution to affordable housing, homelessness, health care. That's what his record was in the past, and that's what he needs to do to distinguish himself as governor.
Howard.
Build a wall, but not with Mexico, a wall with the federal government, and tell the people of California, I will protect you, even when they don't.
Interesting. Well, on Sunday night, Newsom's hosting a concert featuring several artists as a fundraiser for California fire victims, and one of those is going to be Pitbull. He's going to be performing. So we got to have a little Pitbull as we get ready for the dance party on this Friday night, right?
Love us some Pitbull.
Okay. We'll see you for coverage starting Sunday night and Monday. But thanks for watching The Issue Is. Have a great weekend.
You know the drill. For me, I'm off in the cut. Always like a squirrel, looking for a nut. This is up for show. I'm not talking about luck. I'm not talking about love. I'm talking about get loose.